Hello there. Let's talk about a very interesting man named William Blake. He lived a long, long time ago, over 200 years in fact, in a busy, bustling London. He was an artist. He was a poet. He saw the world in a very special way, full of wonder and magic, but also full of things he thought weren't quite right. William Blake wrote 2 big books of poems that were like 2 sides of the same coin. One was called Songs of Innocence, and it was full of happy, cheerful poems about childhood, nature, and joy. The other book was called Songs of Experience, and this one was a bit more serious, looking at the tougher side of life. The Schoolboy is one of the poems from his Songs of Experience collection. Blake was very concerned about how children were treated. In his time, school was often a very strict and gloomy place. Children were expected to sit still for hours and hours, memorizing facts and figures without any fun or games. Blake thought this was a terrible way to learn, believing it crushed a child's natural spirit and joy. He used his poems as a way to speak up for children. He's asking us to think about what it truly means to learn and to grow. He's reminding us that a happy heart and a free spirit are just as important as books and lessons. He's on the side of the children, cheering for them to have a childhood filled with sunshine, play, and discovery. And that's a message that is just as important today, as it was all those years ago in his smoky, noisy London. So what is this poem, The Schoolboy, really trying to tell us? Well, imagine it's a beautiful, sunny summer morning. The birds are singing their hearts out, the world is waking up, and you feel full of energy and excitement, wanting to be outside. But instead of getting to do all that fun stuff, you have to go inside. Sit at a desk in a stuffy room and listen to lessons that feel dull and boring. That feeling, right there, is the heart of this entire poem. It's a story about a young boy who feels trapped, but starts full of happiness. He loves the summer morning and all the sounds and sights of nature. But then, this happy feeling is snatched away, and it completely changes his mood from cheerful to miserable. Let's dive into the very first part of the poem. The boy starts by telling us, "I love to rise in a summer morn." You can almost feel the warmth of the sun on your face, can't you? He's waking up, and the world outside his window is alive and buzzing with energy. It's not just any morning, it's a summer morning. Holidays, fun, freedom. He continues by describing the sounds that fill the air. He says, "When the birds sing on every tree." Imagine that, not just 1 or 2 birds, but a whole choir of them perched on every single branch, all singing a beautiful morning song. It's a symphony of nature. Then he hears another sound, something further away. The distant huntsman winds his horn. This sound adds a sense of adventure and excitement to the morning. It paints a picture of a wide, open countryside where things are happening. The boy doesn't just want to listen, he wants to join in. He tells us, "And the skylark sings with me." A skylark is a bird known for its beautiful, soaring song as it flies high up into the sky. The boy feels such a connection to this bird that he feels like they are singing a duet together. He is not just an observer of nature, he is an active participant, deeply connected to the world around him. The last line of this first stanza seals the deal on his happiness. He exclaims, "Oh, what sweet company." He isn't talking about other people. His companions are the birds, the sounds of the morning, and the feeling of the summer day itself. For him, this is the best company anyone could ask for. Now everything changes. The second stanza hits us with a very different feeling. The boy says, "But to go to school in a summer morn, oh, it drives all joy away." That word "but" is like a big, heavy door slamming shut on the happiness. The beautiful morning is still happening outside, but for him, it might as well be a dark and stormy day. He describes what it's like to be in the classroom. He says, "Under a cruel eye outworn." It's a clever way of saying he feels constantly watched by a teacher who is tired, strict, and perhaps bored with their job. The teacher's gaze isn't kind or encouraging. It's cruel, making the boy feel anxious and watched. The stanza continues. The little ones spend the day in sighing and dismay. He's not just talking about himself. He looks around and sees that all the other children feel the same way. It's a very bleak and gloomy picture of a school day, where no one is having a good time. The boy is trapped in this world. and he can only dream of the happy world he was forced to leave behind. That morning, in the third stanza, the boy starts to think more deeply and uses a very powerful image to explain how he feels. He begins, "Ah, then at times I drooping sit." The word drooping is perfect here. Think of a flower that hasn't had enough water. Its head hangs down, it looks sad and lifeless. That's how the boy feels at his desk. He's slumped over, energy gone. He's just trying to get through the day to spend many an anxious hour. Anxious means worried, nervous, which is a terrible way for a child to feel at school. He can't find any happiness in his schoolwork. He says he cannot take delight in my book. Books should be wonderful, stories, adventures, amazing facts. But for this boy, his book is another part of his prison. He also can't find happiness in learning's bower. A bower is a leafy, pleasant, shady place. Learning should be inviting. But his school is the opposite. This is where Blake brings his brilliant comparison. How can the bird that is born for joy sit in a cage and sing? He's comparing himself to a bird. A bird is of the sky, free, flying, singing. The boy feels born for joy and freedom, but the school is his cage. The classroom with rules, a strict teacher, boring lessons has trapped him. So how can a caged bird sing? It can't sing its real joyful song. It might chirp sadly, its spirit broken. The boy asks the same about himself. How can a child who is trapped be expected to learn, be creative, or feel delight? It's an impossible task. Blake uses the caged bird to show that rigid schooling was unnatural. It went against what it means to be a child. Now, the boy takes his argument a step further, using another brilliant comparison from nature to explain his feelings. He asks a big important question directly to his parents. "Oh, father and mother, if buds are nipped and blossoms blown away." He compares a child to a flower bud. A bud is a flower that hasn't opened yet. It's full of potential, ready to bloom into something beautiful. But what happens if you nip it or pinch it off before it has a chance to open? He continues by talking about what happens if the tender plants are stripped of their joy. A tender young plant is delicate. It needs sunshine, water, fresh air to grow strong. The springing day is that time in the morning when the sun comes up, and everything feels fresh and new. But if you take away the plant's joy, its sunlight, its morning dew, it can't grow properly. It will be weak and unhealthy. The boy feels he is that tender plant, and the school is stripping away all his joy, all the sunshine his spirit needs to grow. This stripping of joy, he says, is done by sorrow and care's dismay. Sorrow is deep sadness. Care's dismay means the worries and anxieties that the school day brings. These negative feelings are like a terrible storm, or a harsh frost that damages the young plants in a garden. The boy is trying to show his parents that forcing him into this unhappy environment is not just making him sad for a little while, it is actively harming his development. It's like trying to grow a garden in a dark, cold cellar, instead of out in the fresh, open air. Having set up his powerful garden metaphor, the boy now explains the consequences. What actually happens when you try to grow plants without any sunshine or joy? He asks, how shall the summer arise in joy or the summer fruits appear? He is looking ahead to the future. Summer is the time when a garden is at its most beautiful and productive. It's when the flowers are in full bloom and the trees are heavy with delicious fruit. For a person, summer represents adulthood, the time when you are fully grown, mature, and able to contribute to the world. The boy's question is a warning. If his childhood, his springtime, is spent in sadness and misery, how can he possibly grow into a happy and productive adult? If the buds are nipped in the spring, there will be no flowers in the summer. If the blossoms are blown away, there will be no fruit in the autumn. He is saying that a miserable childhood will lead to a bleak and empty adulthood. The joy you experience as a child is the very thing that helps you grow into a well-rounded, capable grown-up. In the final stanza, the boy paints the saddest picture of all. He describes the grim future that awaits if things don't change. He asks how they can expect a harvest or bless the mellowing year. The mellowing year refers to autumn, the season of harvest when you gather all the good things that have grown over the summer. It's a time of celebration and abundance. But if the summer never produced any fruit, what is there to gather in the autumn? There will be nothing. The harvest will fail. He then delivers the final, chilling lines. When the blasts of winter appear, he is saying that if his childhood, spring, is destroyed by a joyless school, and his adulthood, summer, is therefore empty and fruitless, then what will his old age, winter, be like? It will be a time of grief and sadness. Winter is often used to represent the end of life, a time of cold and darkness. The boy is warning that a childhood devoid of joy doesn't just lead to a disappointing adulthood. It leads to a sorrowful end. The poem, which started on such a happy, sunny summer morning, ends with the cold blasts of winter. This shows the complete journey from happiness to despair. It's a tragic path. The boy is essentially saying that by robbing him of his joyful childhood. The grown-ups are setting him up for a whole life of sadness. So after all that, what's the big idea we should take away from the schoolboy? It's really quite simple and very beautiful. William Blake believed that children need freedom, joy, and nature to grow into the best people they can be. He saw childhood not as a time for being forced into a little adult-shaped box, but as a special, magical time for exploration and happiness. He thought that learning should be an adventure, not a punishment. It should be as natural and fun as playing a game or singing with the birds on a summer morning. Think about it this way. When you're playing outside, building a den, or looking for interesting bugs in the garden, you're learning. You're learning how to solve problems, how to be creative, and how the world works. Your brain is buzzing with ideas, and you're happy. Blake believed this kind of natural, joyful learning was much more powerful than sitting in a stuffy room, trying to memorize things that don't interest you. He felt that the strict schools of his day were like prisons that locked away a child's most important tool, their imagination.